Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're going to be talking about college football Week 6 metric power rankings. Essentially what the metric power rankings are is it just takes all the available data, whether you're talking about offensive points scored, offensive points allowed, at least when it comes to the defensive side of the football, completion percentage, how many fumbles does your offense allow versus your defense creating fumbles, of course, not throwing a lot of picks, overall turnovers, all that kind of stuff. Basically just giving you a general view of how the teams are playing, looking at strength of schedule data, and, a whole bunch of different things. But let's get right to it. And I've done other videos in the past explaining this process. If you go to the last week's video on this topic, I went a little bit more in depth. But this week I figured I would just, go over pretty much what the top 25 looks like so far. So this basic ranking of the top 25 teams takes into account pretty much all the factors I just mentioned. Winning is definitely a big thing, how many wins you have as a football team, but also how many points you're allowing on offense, how many points you're allowing on defense, the turnovers you're allowing, the strength of schedule that you face, because there's definitely some teams in here that haven't played the strongest of schedules. And it just compiles into one ranking. So far the top 25, as of right now, based on all the available data, Alabama's still number 1. Clemson getting the win against Virginia Tech bumped them up to number 2. Number 3, of course, Georgia. Miami, Florida at 4. Michigan at 5. Oklahoma at 6. Penn State 7, Texas or TCU at 8. And I actually found out the issue I had with TCU last week. I know one of you guys commented that TCU it was odd that TCU was like that, and that's because the strength of schedule data that was inputted for TCU was a little off. So I went back and double checked everything again, and there was, for some reason, there was an issue, and I corrected it. So that shouldn't be an issue going forward, at least when it comes to this data. And then, of course, you look at Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest. Then you get into some of the other tiers of teams. So teams that don't really play the toughest of schedules, but have been winning a lot of football games and performing well. Got teams like Navy, San Diego State, Washington State is, of course, kind of in that bottom tier. Their big issue has been strength of schedule. That's been their biggest sort of thing. They haven't really played the toughest of teams. They've been winning a lot of football games, but we have yet to really know how good these teams are 100% yet because of that sort of fact. And also USC losing to Washington State doesn't really help that case. I mean, sure, Washington State played USC, but USC's played a tougher schedule up to this point. But hey, they got the W, so they got the W. Then, of course, when you look at Wisconsin, Auburn, Duke, despite the losses, still favored pretty heavily Louisville, North Carolina State, Oregon, USC, and then Virginia Tech. So this is the top 25. Of course, you can look at the other data. You can look at the other sort of data. I'll leave this sort of college football offense data and college football defense data to give you an idea. But if these teams continue to perform the way they're performing right now, so all these teams, if they continue to perform this way, I don't think much is going to change except for what happens in the middle section. So unless Georgia takes a big loss, or Alabama takes a big loss, or Clemson takes a big loss, or any of the top 10 teams, unless any of those top 10 teams take a huge loss or 2 huge losses, I don't think this will affect things that much at this point. But we'll see. But of course, leave a comment below on who you feel is worthy of the top 25. Again, this is purely a computer, not really a computer ranking system, but it's just a ranking system based on numbers. And I just figured it would be something that would be better to use in evaluation of teams than just so-and-so beat so-and-so, so they're better type of thing, which happens a lot. So, of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.